Alrighty, here we go. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. It is, holy shit, we're halfway through May. That's crazy. It's moving along quickly, isn't it? It's like suddenly summer over the last 2 weeks. I've already cut my grass 4 times here in Michigan. It's nice. It's summertime. I wrote this book. It's called Reviving Masculinity. It's about what you should be doing as a man and how to do it really well. It's on Amazon. It's at Walmart. It's all over the place. Please go pick up a copy. It's the distillation of all the work I do on this podcast, really. And you can see my new hats are in here. If you get on my website, travisneville.com, and pick up a Travis Neville Podcast hat. If you look real close, you can see there's stars and stripes in Boston there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, they're cool hats. I looked around to find the design I wanted and snatched up this one. Anyway, man, have I talked to some impressive people over the last few months here. That last show with Simon Smart was awesome. I've got a couple more in the can that are going to come out over the next few weeks with various other impressive individuals. I basically just I'll catch people's stuff on TikTok and I'll be like, wow, man, they're saying good stuff. This is stuff that needs to be talked about. And, less than that, it's more like, I talk about and research some things that, let's be honest, aren't very popular. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably think the same way I do, and that's great, but you know it. I mean, talking about how masculinity has weakened significantly in our country. It isn't popular. Nobody likes to talk about that. You're certainly not going to see it in mainstream media. You're not going to see it in anything on your phone. It is taboo. You can't do that stuff. So for me, to go find other like-minded people and talk about these things, man, it's really cool. It's rewarding. It's reinforcing. It's challenging. I mean, I get to talk to people who really test my abilities. They test my intelligence, and that's cool. I like that. To me, that's fun, and hopefully you guys are getting something out of that listening to me talk with these folks. But I don't want to become just a host. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool to have these conversations with people, and they've been lining up recently. I mean, I've had a lot of them, but I kind of would like, really, let's face it, I'm an author. You know what I mean? I'm a writer. That's what I do. So I just do this stuff. I do the media stuff to support the books. And, to that end, I'd like to see myself as somewhat of maybe not an expert, but I certainly have researched a lot of these things and know a lot about it. And that's why people call me. I mean, there just aren't that many men out there who are doing what I do. You know what I mean? And so I get a lot of calls from mostly like psychologists, social psychologists, dating coaches, and they would like to talk to me about the men's perspective, the man's perspective. And, I certainly don't speak for all men, but I can tell you the research, and I know that part. So anyway, like I said, I don't want to just be a host. I'd like to be, format for forever, for a year, was just me telling you about the things I've researched. And that's what I'd like to do today. I want to talk about this concept. I got you guys remember one of my first guests was Chris Otto, impressive guy, and I'm watching his brand expand. He's got an ebook coming out, an internet book coming out pretty quick. I got a chance to see it in advance. It's really good. He's got an angle now. He's got a specific niche. He's got a drum to pound, and I'm excited for him for that reason. He's going to be successful because the guy works so hard. Anyway, he talks a lot about avoiding, that pleasure-seeking behavior. That's so common. And that's kind of what I want to cover today. He's got this idea that pleasure is numbing. And I don't know if that's exactly the key to it. I would tell you more like pleasure is a thing that, it becomes less pleasureful the more you engage in it. It doesn't really matter what the activity is. The more you do it, the less cool it is. Like I think about, the little town that my cabin's in. I got to basically live there all summer so that I can do the work that I'm doing up there. And it's becoming a little bit less cool. It sucks. It's not as big of it's not as big of an event to be at my cabin. So that's the concept, and I know this is true. If you're in a relationship and you You know that the sex is unlimited. It's not as cool. You know what I mean? Like, you don't think about sex at all unless you can't get any, and then that's all you think about. I'd tell you that money's the same way. Money's no big deal unless you don't have any. And that's the concept I'm trying to kind of get after today. And I would tell you this. Here are some of the things that people use to numb themselves. And I'll talk about why people numb themselves in a minute here. Well, actually, why not talk about that now? I brought it up. Why people would like, in general, people would like to numb themselves. Basically, numb maybe is the wrong word. We'll say distract at the very least. Numb would be the worst case scenario. I would tell you that the hardest thing that a person has to do, and I talked about this, I've talked about this with a lot of people, but the hardest thing that a person has to do is to really look in the mirror. And it isn't what you physically look like, maybe it is, but it's really saying, okay, honestly, is there anything about me that I can fix or change? Is there anything about me that I realize is habits I have that are causing me to more harm than good? Are there things that I do that, would be better if I did them differently? Um, that's a man thing to do. Boys can't do that. They can't, like I could tell you when I was coaching football, I would sit in, we'd do film study. And it was, I mean, invariably, you look at scheme and you look at the whole overall team, but um, invariably it comes down to looking at individual positions. And of course, as much as I try to detach the individual positions from the kids playing them, and I did that in lots of ways. One of the ways that I insisted on with all my coaches was that in film we never say anyone's name. When we're talking about what's going on the screen, we either say the position or the number. Number is better. Let's use the number, and then we know exactly which kid we're talking about, or which player, I should say, not the kid, the player. It's a different thing. Anyway, I tried so much to separate those two things, who you are as a young man versus what you did on the field that night. And the way that I would do it, like I said, I'd use numbers like that. And then I would always talk about, I'd have this conversation early on, like usually one of the first film sessions, I'd draw this web map up on the dry erase board. And it would be you in the middle, whoever that person is. We'll say, I would take a coach usually. I will say it's me. So Travis is in the middle. And then from out of there comes all the things that I'm involved in. It's my family, my friends, coaching football, my job, my workouts, like all these things that I engage in day by day. So I've got all these different realms all the way around, things that are me. And then football is just one of them. And so let's talk about football. All right, so I coach football. And then from there, there's how I deal with the coaches. There's how I deal with the kids, how I make my calls during the play, or how I make my play calls during games, how I, like all these different parts of, outside of that football thing. And then outside of one of them, it's, all right, so how I make my calls in the game. And then from there, it's this game. And then from here, it's this one play. Like, it's the one individual thing. So what I'm trying to get to is for this kid, when you pick out a thing that they did wrong in film, when you pick out that one thing and say, hey, look here, number 22 should have cut this way and he cut that way instead, it's easy for that kid to think that that one little thing, that tiny little bubble way out here, represents all of it, everything. And that's immaturity. And I expect that from high school kids. That when you bring to them an opportunity to improve, in other words, some kind of criticism, when you do that, they're going to take that harshly. They've not yet built their self-confidence. They've not built yet their full sense of themselves. And that's the thing that we're trying to teach them. If you want a person, an adult, to be able to take criticism, to be able to receive negative feedback and turn it into a positive, well, they've got to practice that. And football, I think, is a great way to do that. I mean, in film study, it couldn't be any better because, number one, it is an opinion. It's not like, hey, I told you on this play you went blah, 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 and he's going, no, I didn't. Hey, the film don't lie. There it is. We're watching you do it, right? I mean, so it's completely objective. So to that end, like I said, it's a great way to teach that, but again, we're teaching it, all right? And those are kids who are 15 years old. As an adult, it's crazy, but people still don't know how to do that shit. They can't take any criticism, and certainly any self-guided criticism. I'm not telling you I'm perfect. I'm not, but here I am working on a job last week, and I'm working with a young man. I think he's 22 years old. And we're just kind of shooting the shit like you do on a job site. We're both doing our work, but he's near me, and he's like, He's like, I think you don't give women enough chance. Like when you're dating somebody, you blow them off too quickly. That's what he told me. And so for about 20 minutes, I kind of went back through my history of women I've dated recently. And I went through and I really thought about it out loud, like I'm talking to him about, well, this girl, blah, 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 here's what happened, and this one. He's like, man, why do you spend so much time complaining about it? I'm like, listen, man, that's me really taking seriously your comment to me. Your comment to me was, maybe you blow these women off and you cut them loose too quickly. And so I thought, well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Let's go through it. Let's figure it out. That's me taking seriously your comment and really reading into it. Now, it's not the easiest thing to do, and it's very easy even when you get into that process to just defend yourself. Very easy. But if you want to be better at life, if you want to be happier, we have to be very honest about it. You have to, maybe I fucked that up. Maybe I fucked this up. But again, that doesn't happen unless you practice it, and the more you do it, the better you get. And when this kid asked me that question, again, he's half my age, very little life experience, certainly compared to me, but it doesn't mean that what he said wasn't valid. So I figured I'd, go through it. All right, let's see. And at the very, if nothing else, I'm role modeling for this young man whom I care about. I want him to be successful in the world, not just on my job. I'm role modeling, hey, this is how it goes. This is what you should do when you are brought some criticism. This is how you should go through it. I'm doing it out loud so that you can learn how to do it in your head. Right? So all of that said, it's a difficult thing, we can agree. It's a difficult thing to go through, to really look into yourself and say, is there something wrong here? And I think what it takes is being able to separate this one little criticism from all of you, okay? Just because maybe one thing isn't going so well, or you think you need to fix up, doesn't mean your whole life is throw it on the burn pile, as this really bad therapist that I had used to say. Great phrase, but he had some things that he should have done differently in my mind. Anyway, that's how that went. So, what do you do instead? Okay, so instead of looking into yourself and improving your situation and making things better, people numb themselves or they distract themselves. Okay, and it's true. I heard I can't remember who I heard talking about this. It was Simon Smart. He said most men are living lives of quiet desperation. He didn't say that phrase exactly, but I heard that as he was talking. He said, most guys, they are in a barely functional relationship. They have poor relationships with their children. They have a job where they're just kind of getting by, and they don't want to look at what they could do to make it better because they're afraid they're going to see, and it's always fear beneath all this stuff, they're afraid they're going to see that there's something wrong with them. Well, let's take the next step. So say you do say there's something wrong with you. The good news is there's an opportunity. You can fix that shit. It is you after all. No one else can fix you. And you know what I mean? You have the opportunity to fix yourself if you see something that's wrong. I see that as a tremendously positive, empowering, exciting, enthusiastic thing to learn. Oh, there's this thing I could be doing better. Shit, I can't imagine how much better I'd be if I'd learned this earlier. So again, what do you do instead of that? That guy who's living that life of quiet desperation, well, he probably drinks too much on the weekends. Distracting himself from the fact that he doesn't really like what he's doing. Because you get that blast of euphoria as you start getting a little drunker. As you're climbing that, getting drunker, you're more excited, and then as soon as you taper off, oh my God, I feel like shit. And then of course the whole next day and shit. When you get a little older, past about 35, you're gonna feel bad for a few days, which is awesome. So alcohol is a big one to distract yourself from the things that you really need to be working on. That's super common. I tell you, if you're single, meaningless sex will do it. Because same thing. You're pumping your brain full of positive hormones there for a minute for a short distraction, and then in the end, invariably, you're left back to where you were, which is sad. Here's the big one. This I would tell you is rampant in our American society, and that's the prescription mood-altering drugs. All of the Klonopins and the Xanaxes and the Zolofts and the antidepressants and all of that stuff, anti-anxiety, it's all just you choosing not to go through the shit. I've recommended this from the very beginning. If you're going to go through a bad breakup or lose your job or something like that, don't fucking numb yourself from that shit. Feel it. Feel how bad that sucks. Feel that depression. Feel that anxiety. Feel that fear. Really, really experience it. Wear it like a coat. Roll around in it. Um, because well, there's a few reasons. Number one, it's just like it's not human to not experience that shit. To try to block that out of your life. And number two, it's absolutely a compliment. Yeah, I mean that exactly. Compliment. And certainly a contrast to the positives. So the people that I know who are the happiest in their lives, they're the ones who have experienced some bad stuff, and they appreciate the fuck out of what they have. You know, I say it all the time. Appreciation is the finest gift a man can receive, and it's true. I mean, I don't have everything. I have enough things to be comfortable when you think about actual things. You know, I've got a few vehicles and a place up north and some cool stuff like that. But I worked hard for that shit, and I've been down. You know what I mean? I talk about it all the time. 2012 and various other things that have happened in my life. You know, I'm selling my house. Actually, I sold it, and over the weekend I had, I think, 43 different groups of people come in, and just because of the way the real estate market is right now, nothing's for sale. So, you know, I had a shit ton of people coming through my house. I wasn't here. I was out of town. I just saw all these cards on my kitchen table when I got home. And I was thinking, I wonder what these people thought as they were going through my house. And the thing that I would think would catch their attention more than anything, you guys know that I have that plaque of my drug arrest in my bedroom. Like, it's the first thing I see every morning when I wake up. You know, I've told you this before. The reason I have that there is to remind myself, no matter how bad things are going, they'll never be that bad. Ever again. I mean, it's pretty much impossible for things to get that bad, which always reminds me, shit, you're doing all right. You know what I mean? Things are going okay. And when I went through that, my only regret is that I was taking some antidepressant bullshit, and I was doing that because of being with my ex-wife, and that was a choice I made, and at the time I thought it was the right thing, and I wouldn't do that again. I would have experienced that more thoroughly, because that would have brought me down even more, which would make today seem even better. Really. You know what I mean? Like, people are afraid to suffer, but man, I like suffering because in the end, it's going to make you more appreciative of what you have. You know, other things that you distract yourself with, buying shit. You know, I had this conversation with a real close friend, probably, Jesus, a long time ago now. But all the shit that he would buy on Amazon, he's constantly buying, you know, new this or new that, or this toy or that gadget, or this tech or shoes or clothes or whatever. And it's because, you know, as you buy a thing like that, you get excited, then you wait for it to get there, and you're excited when you open it, and it's like you're giving yourself these rushes of positive because you don't want to, you know, in his case, he did have some negatives going on, but look at that if you have that kind of addiction, you know, if you're addicted to buying shit on Amazon or whatever. I mean, maybe there's something you're covering up. Maybe there's something that you should be working on instead. You know, TV's a big one. Watching the fucking whatever's, you know, the latest miniseries or whatever the hell they call them now, reality shows. They are to distract your mind from your life, to distract you, to give you, you know, I have enough drama in my life. I don't need to watch dramas on TV. You know what I mean? I don't need fake drama. But I mean, that's what it's doing for you. It's causing that low, like, oh man, this sucks. And then you get to bounce back from it and feel better. Oh man, my life's not, at least my life's not like that. You know, to some extent, that's nice now and then to provide a little contrast, but it isn't the natural, healthy way to do it. And your phones are the biggest one of all. I mean, I can't go anywhere. You know, now that it's summertime and I'm riding my motorcycle, I get out there and everybody in their car is on their phone. I mean, I used to say 60%, and now I'll tell you it's 80% of people at any given time are on their fucking phones, and it's fucking scary. You know, first of all, it's dangerous. Second, what's wrong with just being alone with your thoughts? You know what I mean? Like when I'm driving, I'll throw in an audiobook. And again, I'm not Mr. Perfect, but that allows me to do some good deep thinking while I'm driving. I'm not staring at some short-term bullshit on TikTok. I'm not blazing through whatever's new on Instagram. I'm not constantly filling my mind with social media, which, it fucks with you. It really does. If you wonder, you know, TikTok, man, you get on there and burn an hour, and it feels like 10 minutes. I know that there's like this window of time. I can look at shit for, I don't know, maybe 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and then I'm in, and the time is just blows through. So I try to keep it very short. If I'm going to be on there, watch a video or two, maybe three, and then move on. And I wish I didn't have to do that, but because of what I do here with the books and stuff, it's important. So those are all the things that you use to distract yourself, and why you're doing it. Um, well, what should you be focusing on instead? If you're using alcohol, drugs, meaningless sex, your phone, all this stuff to get your uppers, do I think there's a more effective way to do that? Hell yes, I do. Hell yes, I do. And it's attached to suffering in some way. It is. And I would tell you this. This is it. It's accomplishment. For me, the thing that distracts me. Distracts the wrong word. I would tell you the thing that I feel best about, the thing that makes me feel the happiest in my life is accomplishment. And that accomplishment term, there's so many things that fit under there. I mean, like I go through my life. Well, let's talk about you. Love. Love is a big one. Love is an accomplishment. You acquired, you found, you sourced the right person, and you are giving to that person, I would presume, and loving them every day. That's a thing that you're putting work in, which is so pseudo suffering, right? You're putting work in to make that relationship good, and here that person is, they're with you, things are going okay most of the time, and that's a thing to feel satisfied about. It's a thing you built. It's a thing you accomplished and continue, a thing you accomplished and continue to accomplish every day. Love's a big one. Your kids, your family, your work situation. There's tons of different places where you express your love. So that's a place to be very satisfied by and to feel good about. I would tell you discipline is a massive one. If you can look in the mirror and see that you're fit, that's because you're disciplining yourself to get those workouts. And bigger than anything, you're doing your eating correctly. You're getting enough sleep. If you're healthy, that's a thing to celebrate and be pleased with, be happy about, have some appreciation for. You know what I mean? That allows you to enjoy everything else in your life. Without your health, you have nothing. Is that a thing you should be excited about? Hell yes, you should be. And so take it and use it. Go hiking, go outside, ride your bike, do cool stuff. You know what I mean? Use your health. Use it to do amazing shit. Yeah, your fitness is a big one. Any kind of building. I talk about this all the time. What am I? If you got to boil down, Travis Neville, what is it at my core that makes me who I am? Well, it's that I'm a builder. Okay? Yes, I work in construction, so quite literally, I'm a builder. But I build way bigger things than that. I like to build cars. I like to build machines, and I like to build relationships with people. I work my ass off to do that. The guy who gets me my work, he's sort of my partner. I work hard to build a good relationship with this man. He's a hard worker as well. He's disciplined as well. I respect him. I trust him. And whenever I get a chance to do a favor for him, help him out in some way, I do it because I'm building that relationship. And I have every faith that he's doing the same thing. He's building a relationship with me, and eventually, there is no eventually, we'll constantly do that. You know what I'm saying? And when I need to take a withdrawal, I can. And when he needs to take a withdrawal, he can. He's helped me out a lot. And so when we wanted to change our deal and he wanted 25% instead of 20 on this job where we made a bunch of money. I'm like, no problem. There's an opportunity for me to build this relationship. There's one example. I do the same thing with my friendships. I've got a lot of friends, and if anybody needs anything ever, I give it. I help them. I was able to help my buddy the carpenter make a whole bunch of money on some jobs. And I let him stay in my cabin while he was doing it. And, that to me, I enjoyed the heck out of it because I was there for most of the time. But that's me helping him. That's building a relationship. You're doing that with your romantic relationship. You're doing that with your friends. You should be doing it at work as well. And I go back to building that relationship with that young guy who works for me. Helping him be the best he can be, mentoring him, like consciously, like, hey, this is going to help you. This is going to make you better. So that's a thing to be satisfied by and to look to when you need a boost of positive instead of your phone or instead of getting drunk or instead of whatever it is that you tend to do to distract yourself. So yeah, I'm building relationships. I'm building, when I was working for the football team, I was building that team. I was building the whole community by creating good quality young men who are going to go out and spread that positivity throughout the whole community. As we win games, people come to those games. They leave feeling good. They leave happy about what we're doing. That's building a community. These are the things that you as a man should do. Another piece of that conversation with Simon Smart was the difference between boyhood and manhood. And I talked about that briefly at the beginning. But the biggest difference is your focus. And when you're young, your focus is within. And when you mature, your focus is without. You're focusing on things outside of you. How can I help out here? How can I build this? How can I fix that? When you're young, it's how can I build me? How can I fix me? How can I do this? What can I do to gain? And that's what it is to be young. You're self-centered. And you transition out of that. And that's one of the things, again, Simon and I talked about, was that's what you have to do. You have to kill that in yourself to get to where you can be the savage servant, where you can stand in the gap and fight the bad guys, and then come home and roll on the floor with your kids and be fun and happy and soft and enjoy your life. That's what it is, to have that perspective and see everything in your kingdom. And again, your kingdom is your family, your friends, your community, and your work relationships, and that's it. Stop there. It's not your whole state. It's not your whole county. It's certainly not the whole world. Your world is a very small thing comparatively, but that indeed is a thing you should be focusing on trying to fix and change every day. And the best you is the thing that's going to make it the best, right? The better you are, the more you'll raise the bar for the people around you, and they will realize, oh shit, this guy's really going. I better maybe step it up too. That's how that works. Anyway, yeah. So the whole thing was that you've got to be able to look at your behaviors and see if you are seeking pleasure for the right reasons. For me, let's talk about drinking. When I'm going to have a beer, have a few beers, and hang out, it's always with people. I don't really drink by myself, but it's always to celebrate. It's always to celebrate life. I'm celebrating accomplishments when I do that. If I sit around all day and don't do anything, it's probably because I'm hurting or sick or something. So there really isn't anything to celebrate at that point, so I don't feel like drinking. But if I work hard all day and get a lot of things done, or work hard all week, then Friday night sounds, hey man, let's celebrate life. I feel pretty good about myself. I accomplished, I built, I created some shit that wasn't there last week. I did that this week. Things got better. So I know that one habit, the alcohol drinking, is I'm using to celebrate good positive things. I'm not using it to replace the positive things that aren't there. I'm not using that to distract me from looking at the negative things that are there, right? I think about the same thing. I take no prescription drugs anymore. Well, I take that back. I went through a course of antibiotics a few weeks ago because I had a sinus infection, but it's different. It wasn't distracting me from anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, I try to make TV a celebration. I'm rewatching Sons of Anarchy right now because, it just got nice out, like I told you, and I'm on my motorcycle as much as I can because it's finally nice out, which is cool. Again, I try to make that a reward after a long day so that I can really appreciate it. I worked hard today, so this will be nice. I'll chill out and make myself a nice dinner, that kind of thing. Yeah, and my phone, I just really try to limit that. My God, I just, in the morning I get myself caught up on anything I might have missed last night. And then when I'm at the gym, I'm like, oh great, a cool excuse to not have my phone on me. I leave it in the cubby and it's playing music to my headphones and all the notifications are off. Same thing when I'm driving, I turn off the notifications and like I said, listen to an audiobook or something. Anyway, I'm not trying to tell you I'm great at everything, but these are just the thoughts that I have, the things that go through my head, and the ideas I get after talking to really impressive people. My advice to you is, be careful with the pleasure-seeking behavior. Be careful with it, okay? Because if it becomes, just look into it. Is it a thing that's you're using to replace the work you should be doing, or is it a thing that you're doing to celebrate the work that you are doing? Just be careful about that. That's best I can do for you. All right, my name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I got these cool Travis Neville Podcast hats. with the stars and stripes in there. I wrote this book called Reviving Masculinity. You can get it every Reviving Masculinity. You can give it every any damn where. Um, it's it was a lot of work. I'm very proud of it. So hopefully you guys will go out there and pick up a copy and support your boy, Travis Neville. I hope that in some way today's show helped you to get your shit together. Have a great week.